You're bound to make enemies. Sometimes.
This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Trailer to Reaction. Happy Monday. And I have a question. Have you noticed that fantasy, when produced for movies and television, for the most part, is extremely dark? I mean, joyless dark. And it's really sad to me because I actually started reading the Game of Thrones books before it was made into a HBO series. And I started watching that, and I immediately lost interest in it. Not only because the books are better, which is almost inevitable in most cases, it's the fact that, tonally speaking, fantasy tends to be really dark and humorless. Now keep in mind, I'm not saying overall, in the sense that most fantasy shows and movies revolve around a bunch of people going on a quest for some reason or another. The purpose for that quest can be very serious, and I have no issue with that. My issue is that everything else is also very serious. Everything is serious. Now that's not to say I want fantasy to go the route of, let's say, the Thor franchise, which, now keep in mind, I haven't seen Thor Love and Thunder, but from what I've heard, it's very silly, perhaps needlessly silly. I have seen Thor Ragnarok, and it was certainly embarking on that path. It didn't quite commit. I appreciate it. I don't mind levity. I don't mind humor. But if it's a serious movie, then I want an overall tone of seriousness. And I don't like jokiness also in those particular movies. I don't think it works very well. So I haven't seen Thor Love and Thunder because that type of movie doesn't interest me. Though the fantasy genre needs to take itself much, did I say much? Less seriously. Everything is just too grimdark, and I don't enjoy that. It's the same type of extreme. I prefer to have humor in whatever movie I am watching. I don't care if it's horror. I want to see elements of humor, and when I say humor, I mean particularly the interactions between people, because most people are hilarious in reality, and I'd like to see that reflected in my movies. I haven't met too many people who are just grim and dark, and even when they are grim and dark, it oftentimes comes off as hilarious because it's just weird. So that leads me to the trailer for the upcoming Dungeons and Dragons, which I'm hoping, at any rate, will have elements of humor. And I have to keep repeating, I don't mean slapstick. I can't stand slapstick humor outside of the Three Stooges, which is where it belongs because they're hilarious. But in a more mainstream, more typical type movie, no matter the genre, those interpersonal relationships between people needs to have humor in it. In any case, let's look at the trailer for Dungeons and Dragons, subtitled Honor Among Thieves.
Here's the thing. We're a team of thieves. And when you do this, you're bound to make enemies. Sometimes those enemies come looking for revenge. Truth be told, we helped the wrong person steal the wrong thing. We didn't mean to unleash the greatest evil the world has ever known. But we're gonna fix it.
So how do we pull that off? Figure it out over a drink?
Probably best.
You need to
To give us a fighting chance, we're gonna need strength. You got this, right?
I know you don't.
We also need courage,
back to school.
magic, and you. What is that again?
It's an owlbear.
Let's go.
Be warned. There is evil here.
I'm glad he's on our side.
Want a whole lot of love.
This one's dangerous. But whatever happens, we'll be ready.
What is it exactly that you bring to this?
I'm a planner. I make plans.
You've already made the plan, so
If the existing plan fails, I make a new plan.
you make plans that fail.
No,
He also plays the lute.
not relevant.
Well, that was the trailer for Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, and I think there's a missed opportunity here. Namely, they're leaning into a Thor Ragnarok-esque type aesthetic. From the music to even that end scene, it feels very much like I just watched Thor Ragnarok again. Well, the trailer, I should say, for Thor Ragnarok again. Except with less cool music. And that's a pity because, as I mentioned earlier, this needs to be humorous. It needs to be fun. It needs to be epic, but it also needs to be fun and not take itself quite so seriously. But perhaps even more importantly, it needs to be its own thing, which from that trailer, I'm not quite sure it is. Though what do you think? This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Trailing to Reaction. Do you agree, disagree? Let me know down below. And as usual, consider a like or follow. Peace. Have a great week.